when you hear phrasal verbs, what how to say it? What do you feel? Do you feel that you like them? It's an easy topic for you. So if you feel like that, send heart. Yeah, use the reaction for heart. Let's see how everybody feels. I like phrasal verbs, obviously. I'm a teacher, so. Okay, Elena, thank you. Yeah, I see. Not a heart, a different reaction. Okay. All right. Okay, well, usually, I don't know about your experience. In my experience, when people hear phrasal verbs or my students hear phrasal verbs, the first reaction is, oh no, phrasal verbs again. How will I ever learn them? Right. So it's usually a challenge for a lot of people. But I hope that after today's webinar, it will be a bit easier, yeah, for us, and we will feel better about them, right? So we'll start with discussing what are phrasal verbs. Yeah, we need to find out what they are and why they are a separate group. Yeah, or why we single them out. So phrasal verbs, they can also be called multi-word verbs. Sometimes are verbs that consist of a verb and a preposition or a particle. Yeah, sometimes there may be more than one. Let's take a look at some examples. Take off, fall out, come up with, look forward to, and turn up. Yeah, so verb with a preposition or a particle. So what's so special? It's a verb with a preposition. The thing is that when we add this preposition or when we change it, we change the meaning and sometimes completely. Yeah, let's take, for example. If it's just take, it means that we take something in our hands, we hold it, and we carry it somewhere. Yeah, for example, I took an umbrella with me outside. But when we add off, it changes the meaning and it can mean different things. For example, it can be about a plane. Yeah, so if a plane takes off, it leaves the ground. If a person takes off from a place, this person leaves unexpectedly. Yeah, so he took off from the party. Or take off can also mean removing shoes, for example, from your feet or removing some clothes. So not only does it change the meaning, but it can be different.
Kate, you're muted.
Yeah. Have I been muted for long?
No.
Some seconds.
Okay.
1
Okay.
second.
Thank God. Don't want to repeat everything again. Right. The challenge for us might be that it's not easy or sometimes even impossible to understand the meaning, yeah, of a phrasal verb just from its components. So if you take separately and off separately and put them together, well, it's not always clear, yeah, how to understand the meaning. It's a challenge, yeah, and we might think, okay, so I won't learn them. Why do I need them then? They're so difficult. It's impossible to understand. But they're actually really important, yeah, and we'll discuss why. They are everywhere. That's the thing. So if we want to communicate better, if you want to learn the language, we will have to learn phrasal verbs. They are everywhere. They are in informal language and in everyday conversations. They are in literature, movies, and media, and they are in business. So whether you're chatting to a friend or speaking to a stranger in the street, you will hear phrasal verbs, right? You will see them in books, in films, blogs, vlogs, Instagram, TikTok. They are everywhere, right? And in business. So we might think that business is a formal environment. Yeah, and phrasal verbs are usually more or less informal. And well, we usually try to avoid them, we might think, but that's actually not true. So in business, there are so many phrasal verbs used in communications, in emails. Probably they're not used in documents. Yeah, if it's an official document, that's practically the only place where we won't use them. But otherwise, you'll see them in every walk of life, right? So if we learn them, what will we get from this? Yeah, what will we receive from this knowledge and well, from all of this challenge, so to say? First, we'll communicate more effectively with native speakers. Yeah, it will allow us to understand them better because they use a lot of phrasal verbs. Yeah, so just it will make communication easier, and we won't have to ask all the time to repeat, yeah, or to explain or to use other words. Um, Logically, we will sound more natural and native-like if we use phrasal verbs, if we know more of them, and that will make communication easier both ways. Not only will we understand native speakers better, but they will understand us better. Yeah, and communication will be more effective. We will also grasp nuances of the English language easier. So the use of phrasal verb can sometimes add special meaning to the sentence. So we will catch the message better and easier. Yeah, we will understand what the native speaker wants to say or what the article is about, and so on. It will expand our vocabulary, so it will make it richer and more diverse. We will have a bigger choice of synonyms, right? So we won't just use, for example, the word solve the problem. We can use sort out a problem. Yeah. And our language will sound more beautiful as a result. Um, Connected to this, of course, is that all our skills will be improved. So our writing will be better, reading will be better, so we'll understand more and deeper. Speaking, of course, and listening, right? When you hear a podcast or you're in a meeting, right? So all of these skills will be improved with the help of phrasal verbs. And well, last but not least, we will gain more confidence. Yeah, you know more, you understand more, logically, you're more confident, yeah, and not as afraid, if we can say that. So a language barrier becomes reduced as a result, right? So to sum up, phrasal verbs are really important. They're everywhere. Yeah. So let's make an effort and learn a bit more. Um, right now, I'll make a pause, so to say, in my speaking, and I'll invite you to do an exercise. So it will be just a short exercise for us to see if it's easy for us to understand the phrasal verb from the context. Yeah, maybe you know already some of them, but I'll ask you to use the context if it's a new verb for you. Um, I'll share this slide in a moment. You can use your phone to scan the QR code. I will also send a link to this exercise in our chat. In just a second. Okay, so by following this link or QR code, you should be able to see a window like this, student login. Okay. What you need to do is type this code into room name, ILINA 5111. I can also send it in the chat if that's convenient. Guys, please let me know if something isn't working. I have an extra link just in case. All right. So if you're on track, what you will see is 10 sentences with phrasal verbs highlighted, and you need to choose the correct answer. You will see the correct answer right away after you click. Alec, thank you. I've started the activity, so it should be open right now. 30 more seconds, guys, to finish. I see most of you have finished, but let's allow the others also some time. Okay, guys, I'll send you one more link. It's the same exercise. So if some of you haven't done this one but wish to do it, or you can do this one later. So for this that we have just done right now, I have to click to launch. But for this one, you can do it in your own time. So if you missed it but would like to do it, here's your chance, right? I see a reaction. This is too easy. Yeah, I'm really happy about that. That this is, phrasal verbs are easy. This is a good association, I would say. This is a good feeling about phrasal verbs, right? Um, okay, so context can help, I suppose, right? If we see it in context, and that's how we should learn, by the way. So I'll get ahead. We will talk about advice at the end, but when we learn phrasal verbs, it's important to see them in context. As remember, I gave you an example of take off. Yeah, it has minimum 3 meanings. And if you don't see it in the context, well, which meaning should you choose, right? Or which meaning is it? That's why sentences are important. Okay, and I see the results are pretty good. Yeah, lots of you gave lots of correct answers. So well done. We are moving on. We are going to talk about types of phrasal verbs in a moment. But to talk about the types of phrasal verbs, we need to discuss one term, an object. Yeah, so an object is an important term for learning phrasal verbs and understanding how they are used. So what is an object? It is a noun, usually a noun with some other words connected to it that usually goes after the verb. What's important is that it's a person or a thing affected by the action of the verb, right? So, for example, if I look at you, right? You is the object because you is affected by looking, so to say. Uh, let's take a look at another example. I am looking forward to my vacation, right? Here we have verb. I am looking forward to. And so I'm looking forward to what? My vacation. Yeah, this is the noun or object affected by this verb. Another exercise for us is to decide which of these are objects. Yeah. Send in the chat. So open the chat and send the numbers of the sentences where green words are objects. So if number 1 you think is an object, send 1, or 1 and 2, or 1 and 3, or maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. There is a tendency. Yeah, most of you think it's 1 and 4. That would be unfortunate if the tendency is incorrect. Okay, so if you wanted to share your answer, I hope you did. Let's find out. 1 second. Clicking in the wrong place. Number 1. That's right. So we won't give out what? Your email address. Yeah, so your email address is affected by this action, give out. Number 2. Not an object. I was hanging out where? In the garden. So it's just a place. It's not affected by hanging out. We could say I was hanging out with my friends. Yeah. So this is not an object in this case. Number 3, also not an object. Greg woke up really early. Yeah, it just talks about time, uh, but there is no noun or like a person or a thing in here. And the last one, it depends on the weather. Yeah, that's an object. So a noun affected by this verb. Okay, so let's remember what an object is, because right now we're going to talk about the types. Yeah, and object is basically a central word in the discussion about the types. So first two types, it's separable and inseparable phrasal verbs, and the name speaks for itself. Separable means that the verb and the particle can be separated by the object that is used with this verb, right? Here we have an example. You need to fill in this form, or you need to fill this form in. So I can take an object and put it between the verb and the particle if I want to. So, but I don't have to. I can use it after the particle. A special rule is the verb must be separated. It absolutely must be separated if the object is a pronoun. So here we have an example of a pronoun. So you need to fill it in. We cannot say fill in it. Yeah, that's not correct. Or can you pick me up at the airport? So we have to put me between pick and up. We cannot say pick up me. Other examples are him, her, us, them, and you, right? So if we have these words, we have to put them in the middle, okay? And inseparable. Even if we use a pronoun, for example, it here, we have to use it after the phrasal verb. Examples. I'm sorry, but I have to look after my little brother. We cannot put my little brother, sorry, about between look and after. It has to go at the end. We've come across some new information. So this is also an object. It has to be used after come across because it's inseparable. And this example that I already mentioned, they know about the problem and they're looking into it. So it's a pronoun. Here we discussed it must be in the middle, but this phrasal verb is inseparable, look into, and we cannot put it in the middle, yeah, because it is inseparable. How to find out if they are separable or inseparable? The easiest way is in the dictionary or while you're learning them in the course. So if you're taking an English course, books usually show this information, right? Course books, and you will be learning a limited selection of these phrasal verbs, and you'll be learning if they are separable or inseparable, yeah, and how to use them with examples. But if you're learning by yourself, or if you need it for your work or an email or something like that, a dictionary is a really good way. We'll talk about dictionaries a bit later. So this is one division, so to say, separable and inseparable. Another type of phrasal verbs is with an object or without an object. Yeah, that's why we discussed what an object is. So some phrasal verbs absolutely have to have an object. Without it, it's impossible to understand what it means. It's an incomplete sentence. Yeah. For example, I get on with my neighbors. If I just say I get on with, we don't understand with whom. It's incomplete, right? She's looking for new friends. Also, same thing. If we delete new friends or just delete the object, it's unclear what she's doing. Yeah. Jim turned on the air conditioner. So if you don't say the air conditioner, it could be absolutely anything, right? And Clara wanted to try on the dress. Yeah. Try on what? The dress. Has to be used in object to complete the sentence. There are some phrasal verbs without an object, and we can say that they're kind of independent. Yeah. Without it, it's clear what we want to say. I got up and went to work. You can just say I got up. That's enough. It's clear. The plane has just taken off. We understand that the plane is in the air, right? When is Jack coming back? No object and unnecessary. I asked them to go away. The prices for food have gone up lately. Yeah. All clear, and the object is just not necessary and shouldn't be used probably in that place. Okay, let's test yourselves again. We will do a task where you'll need to decide if a phrasal verb is separable or inseparable. For now, we can do it without a dictionary. We'll talk about dictionaries a bit later. For now, let's just test your language intuition or knowledge, whatever you already know, right? We will use the chat. You can see 8 sentences. You need to decide if they're separable or not. Let's type in the chat the numbers of separable. So if it's separable, type the number and send a message. Let's see. Okay, good tendency. Before I show you the answers, I can say that there are 4 sentences that have separable. So you might change your mind if you have 3 or 2. Okay, let's see the answers. 1, 5, 6, and 7. So in 1, we can say they've called the meeting off. Yeah, the meeting can be used between called and off. Here, you actually already have a helper, kind of. I look into it. You see that it is used after the phrasal verb. So, well, it cannot be separated, right? It usually has to be separated if it's separable. Number 5, right? I need to take back the shirt. So we can say I need to take the shirt back. It's possible to use it like that as well. Please take your shoes off. It's possible. And he made that story up. Yeah, it's possible to put it in the middle. There is one more kind of trick or helper here. If you have a phrasal verb that has 3 components, come up with, put up with, look forward to, they are never separable. So if it's 3 words, they always stay together. Yeah, just a hint that can help you. If it's just 2 components, well, a dictionary. That will help us. All right. Talking about dictionaries, right? And mainly how to understand which words are separable or which ones are inseparable. I'll show you several dictionaries. So different dictionaries show it in a bit different way, right? And it's a good idea to kind of understand how to use them, right? Okay. This is dictionary, Collins dictionary, right? A screenshot from that. What we can look for? We can look for examples. Yeah. Here I highlight. So the colors are not in the dictionary like that. That's just for us to see. If you see in the example, like here, have you sorted something out for tomorrow night? you can see that something stands between sorted and out. Yeah. If in the example you see that the object is between the verb and the particle, it can be separated in its meaning. Yeah, in this meaning that is described in this point. Collins Dictionary also shows us in the brackets here verb, noun, particle. Yeah, but it usually shows how it's used in this example. Um, right. Sometimes it's used not in the example, but in the definition itself. So if you sort someone out, that's a different meaning, and so on. Again, you can see that someone is between sort and out. It means that it can be separated. Plus the example, who sorted all the troublemakers out. Yeah. So here we can use examples and definitions. So Collins Dictionary usually shows just the sort out um, at the top, yeah, or phrasal verb, but we can look for definitions and examples. Another one is Cambridge Dictionary, a pretty popular one. It shows also examples, but here you can see it at the very beginning. So if you search for a phrasal verb, you'll see it right away that we have something in the middle, yeah, or something, someone in the middle between sort and out. Yeah. These examples don't show it, but it doesn't mean we cannot do it because it's already shown in the word itself. And here again, we can see example, sort him out. Yeah. Okay. And Longman Dictionary, you'll get all of these links. So I'll send you. Sorry, Ola, I didn't see your message. First, what was the first one? Just a sec. I'll go back.
Collins Dictionary.
Collins Dictionary. Yes, thank you. I'll send you the links to these dictionaries that I've used for our screenshots. Yeah, so you can use them um, for your own studies. This is Longman Dictionary. I prefer to use this one more, I would say, to check if it's specifically separable or inseparable because it has an additional symbol. First of all, it shows the same way that previous dictionaries did, right? A sort out and something or object in the middle. Additionally, it has this arrow. In the dictionary, it's red, yeah, so it's really visible. This arrow here shows that it's separable, right? Plus examples, as we already mentioned, yeah. So this arrow is an additional kind of thing for this dictionary, which is pretty handy. Um, so that's one aspect of using dictionaries, yeah, is to find out if it's separable or inseparable. Additional comment here is that phrasal verbs can have different meanings, more than one. Here you can see 5. Yeah. So take off. That's the one we discussed, 5 different meanings. And depending on the meaning, it can be separable or inseparable. For example, here, if we remove a piece of clothing, for that meaning, it's separable. We can see this arrow. We can see that something, object is between, taken off. In the second meaning, if an aircraft takes off, it rises into the air. We don't have any arrows, and the examples don't show us that it's separable because it is not. Yeah, it cannot be separated. The same with number 3. So Jack's career started taking off. He became more successful. No object and no separation because this verb is used without the object. So it's a really good idea, not only when you look for separable or inseparable, but if you just look for the meaning, read the meanings and read the definition examples, excuse me. Because we need to choose the context, right? The correct context for our, I don't know, for our email, for what we want to say, for our homework, yeah, if you're studying. So choose the meanings that fit, that suit. If one dictionary is not enough, use several. That's what I do because some dictionaries show definitions in a bit different wording. Yeah, so another dictionary can give you more information, additional context, additional explanations. It's a good idea to combine. Yeah, it takes more time, of course, but that's more effective. Yeah. We're going to practice using a dictionary right now, and that's where I send you the links first. So I'll send you the links to these 3. There are many more other dictionaries, of course. ChatGPT is considered to be kind of a dictionary these days. It's also useful, actually. You can ask ChatGPT, is it separable? And it will tell you. And well, usually it will tell you correctly, but give it a context also. Yeah. Because if you just give it a takeoff, well, it will say yes and then no. So, three links. First is Longman, second, Cambridge, and Collins. What we're going to do is on your own find out what these phrasal verbs mean and if they are separable or inseparable. She decided to take up dancing in her free time, and we get along well with our coworkers. So take up and get along well with someone. Okay, please send a reaction, a thumbs up, or a plus in the chat when you are ready to discuss. Yeah, you'll give you some time to do your research. Okay, I see some pluses. I hope all of you use dictionaries to look for these phrasal verbs. Uh, uh-huh. Natalia, yeah, Longman is the best. More examples and different meanings. Yeah, yeah, why not? But again, combining is good. So as I said, well, in my experience, for me personally, one dictionary is not always enough. Yeah, not um, especially. I don't know. You're looking for a specific meaning for a specific context, and sometimes the dictionary doesn't give it. Longman gives more, but it's a good idea to combine, yeah, and check in different sources. Um, okay, could you guys raise your hand if you would like to share with us what you found out about the first one. Come on, don't be afraid. Okay, we can do it as if you had this at school. So okay, who will answer? Yeah, and Tatiana, thank you. You saved us. Um, okay,
But
so
maybe I'll give the role to Ina because as I am a teacher, I used to be a teacher
I see.
in the in the past. So I think I'll give the word to Ina then.
Well, if you don't mind, I don't mind. Yeah, Inna, go ahead if you wish.
Actually, I would like to ask a question regarding
Okay.
how to use dictionary,
Mm-hmm.
because from the first look, it could be a little bit confusing for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I will just share a screenshot to ask question about take up.
Okay.
In just a second. Yeah, to be on the same page. So what I see in the clause number one, we have take something and then arrow up. It
Mm-hmm.
means that we can put subject in the middle.
Yeah,
And
object.
it's
Mm-hmm.
object, sorry. Yeah,
That's
and
right.
it's okay. And as for the second one, we don't have this arrow. It's mean that we can't put subject in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But why they name it like take something up? Why they
Ooh.
put something in
Mm-hmm.
the in the
Mm.
middle and
Yeah,
confuse people?
sorry, and I confused you too. If something is in the middle, you can put it sub object in the middle. Sorry, I missed this moment. If it's in the middle, you can use it in the middle, even if there is no arrow. Uh, why they confuse people, I'm not sure. Yeah. Um, but as I said, some dictionaries show it with something in the middle, with the object in the middle, and look for that. Yeah, if there is no arrow. Yeah, sorry, I missed the moment that there is something there. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't understand. So if we have something in the middle,
Yeah,
it
you
means that
can
we.
divide. Yeah, it's separable. If something is used in the middle, it is separable even if there is no symbol, right? Because the other dictionaries don't use a symbol. And, well, you won't find it, right? In Cambridge, there is no symbol for that. They use something in the middle. That's how you can find out. So in this dictionary, I'm not sure why they didn't use an arrow here, but if you see something in the middle,
Mhm.
you
So
can divide it.
it
Mhm.
means that we can say, as example, Peter will take the management up of
Yes,
the finance department. Yeah.
the management of the finance department
Up.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the next one,
absolutely.
the teacher takes her duties in August up. Yeah.
In this case, you see take up, a post, a
With
position. Yeah, not
yeah,
dividable,
not
not
the
separable. Yeah. Okay. We'll have some time for questions also at the end. So if you want to know something else or ask something else, we'll have separate time for that. Let's take a look again at take up. So what does it mean? And let's sum up, so to say, if it's separable in this meaning. Yeah. So which meaning from Inna's screenshot is applicable here?
The first one.
Yeah, yeah, of course. The first one, right? And so we can see from the arrow that it is separable. Yeah, we can say she decided to take dancing up. Yeah. Yeah, to start to do something. Okay. What about get along well with coworkers? Would anybody like to speak about that one?
It seems that it isn't separable
Mm-hmm.
because you mentioned that when we have three words, so it is inseparable,
Yeah.
and it means to like have a good relations or something,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
have a
Absolutely.
friendly relationship
Yeah.
with
That's right.
someone.
Mm-hmm. We can see that well kind of separated, But well in this case is a variation, so to say, of this phrasal verb. Sometimes they use well to emphasize that it's a really good relationship. We can say we get along with our coworkers. Well is not an object, so it's not considered to separate.
Can we substitute on with on?
Along with on?
Yes, get
Yes.
on with some.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for mentioning that American and British. That's also where you can use a dictionary. So get along is more American variation. Get on is more British variation. Yeah. Some dictionaries can also indicate that. They will write AM for American, BR for British, or in full words, American, British. Yeah, you can look for that as well, because in our world, it's all mixed up. So some of us speak in, so I tend to speak in more like American accent. Our books are British, and schools usually study British English, so it's mixed up, and dictionaries can help us understand what's going on in the world of the language. Okay. Let's talk about formality, and using phrasal verbs at work. So phrasal verbs, they are usually considered to be less formal, some of them completely informal. And we sometimes think they shouldn't be used in work, emails, or communications. And usually one word is kind of more formal instead of a phrasal verb. So here are some examples. We can say we need to sort out the problem, or we need to solve the problem in one word. This will be kind of more formal. He pointed out an interesting detail. He showed an interesting detail. I want to set up my own business. I want to establish my own business. And please go on. Please continue. So one word is considered more formal than the phrasal verb itself. But as I mentioned at the beginning, phrasal verbs are everywhere, especially used a lot by native speakers in formal situations, work communications, and so on. So depending on where your client is from, or where client, I mean, if you work with international clients, some of them tend to be more informal and friendly in their communications. And when we do this, they might feel like a bit strange, like, why are we being so formal? So phrasal verbs are a good idea to have this semi-formal, neutral, kind of friendly communication. And we're going to practice again a little bit. We're going to try to feel or understand which phrasal verbs are formal and which are not formal, right? Or which are good for formal situations, which are absolutely inappropriate. For this, I'll ask you to use two reactions. So find the smiley face at the top, and we will use thumbs up. Yep, this one. If it's formal or neutral, it's okay for work. And we will use this laughing face if it's informal and shouldn't be used at work, right? Let's practice with reactions first. Could you send me a thumbs up, please? Okay, it works. Thank you. And let's send the laughing smiley face. Okay, perfect. Which one do we use for formal? Could you send me the one for formal? Okay, correct. Just checking if we all remember. Let's see. You'll see a sentence. What's your reaction? Okay, I see a thumbs up, mostly. Yeah. So you think it's formal. Let's see. Just a moment. So many screens. Yeah. Okay, that's correct. So it can be used in formal situations. What about this one? Okay. All right. So if you're holding back and not send your reactions because you're afraid to make a mistake, don't worry, guys. No one will notice, okay? Even if I notice, well, it's okay. Yeah, I won't remember
We
that
know
you
that
made
you
a
are
mistake.
recording.
Okay. Oh, we should stop the recording for this portion. Yeah, so that you feel more relaxed. Okay. Let's find out what this one was. Yeah, informal. Yeah, messing around. Very informal phrase. Okay, get up. I see some thumbs up. Let's see. Yeah, it's more neutral. Yeah, everyday phrase. Okay, what about this one? Again, a little hint. If you see something like the brainstorming or, I don't know, meeting, the truth, yeah, that will help you to understand. Yeah, formal, neutral, carry on, continue. Absolutely right. Any idea what picked out means? What do you think, guys?
Could you please explain?
Eat something.
Glance on something, maybe.
Eat
Sorry?
everything.
Yeah,
Eat everything.
eat a lot, eat too
Yeah.
much. Yeah, so as you can see here, this is definitely not formal. Picked out, yeah, that's connected to, well, eating like a pig. Yeah, not very nice phrase, actually. With friends, you can use it, but with work situations, better not to. Yeah, Natalia wrote also. Yeah, that's right. Okay, this one. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, that's informal. You can also see such words as stuff. Stuff is also an informal word. Yeah, this can help to understand. Okay, a few more. All right, that's right, of course. Responsibilities, very formal context. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not sure, this might be a bit new for some of you. The word dumb is actually a synonym just outside the sentence, so to say. Dumb means stupid, actually very stupid. So to dumb it down, to make it simpler. Yeah, but it's said in such words like make it, well, a bit more stupid. So simple for understanding. Yeah. Strong phrase, also informal. Sorry. Well, clicked too fast. But do you agree that it's informal? Pass out. Yeah. Pass out, it means lose consciousness. Yeah. When it's too hot, for example, and you kind of fall down and you look like you're sleeping. Yeah. So
Why it's informal? If
it's hard to say why.
I
Historically,
mean,
so.
I mean, it's maybe not usually used in a business context, but
Well, yeah.
if you actually lose consciousness, why you can say, okay, I'm going pass out because I feel bad or something like that. So
If you say pass out, it will be more informal. You can say I'm going to faint, like in
okay.
one verb, yeah, or I'm going to lose consciousness. Yeah. So, and of course, context here in this meaning inappropriate. A comment connected to this one, I'm not sure about pass out. For example, you can pass, I think you can pass out the papers, for example, like give papers to people. So depending on meaning,
Yeah.
it could be formal just in another context. Again, where we can find that in a dictionary. Yeah, we come back to dictionaries. Okay, this is the last one here. Yeah, absolutely. That is more formal or neutral. I also want to come back to one slide to show you what I meant about dictionaries and formality and meanings, right? Here we have sort something out, and there's no information here about if it's formal or not. But here we have informal, yeah? And what it means to punish or attack someone, usually to make the person understand that they have behaved badly. So, do you want me to sort him out? If you use it in that context, it will be an informal phrase. If you just sort out the problem, for example, it can be applicable for work situation. So, this is a good idea as well to pay attention to this information, if it's informal or formal. And again, read the examples. Yeah.
And
Those
if
can
it's if
help.
it says UK informal, it means that in US it doesn't use that way at all.
I don't think so. I'm not sure about. Maybe in American English it's not as common in this meaning, so they maybe use something else. They might mean that, but I cannot say for sure in this case.
Thanks.
Right. No problem. Okay, let me get back to the slides. About also phrasal verbs for work. Here, this is just an example of what you will get after the webinar. Yeah. So I think tomorrow or in the next few days, we will send you an email, yeah, with such a document. There are 55 phrasal verbs that could be used for work. So this is just an example of 9. Yeah, there will be a phrasal verb. There will be a definition that is applicable for work situations, right? Chosen, selected, so to say, specifically that we can use it for work, and an example. I took all the definitions from Cambridge Dictionary. There is also a note about that at the end of the document. The examples are self-made, so to say. And the phrasal verbs are highlighted, so you can see them more clearly in the examples. Yeah. So that's just a note of, you will receive this as a PDF document. Yeah, 55 words. There are more, of course. These are just, selected. Let's talk about how to learn phrasal verbs more effectively. Before I talk, maybe I'm sure you have experience of learning phrasal verbs and you could share your tips, yeah, of how you learn them, what is a better way, maybe some tips and tricks. Yeah, so if you'd like to share, raise your hand. At the top, there's the hand symbol. Click. Let's share. Or not share. Yulia. Okay, go ahead.
The most useful way for me is to write these sentences with these phrasal verbs.
That's a very good way, right? Do you write your own sentences or do you take an example from somewhere?
My own sentences.
Very good approach. Absolutely, I agree. Thank you. Alexei, I believe you were next.
Maybe I mostly use 3 tips. First one is at first to try find out what this word means, and if you guess this, you remember better. Then to make associations, try to like systemize. It's not usually works because it's phrasal works, but sometimes it helps. And the third is the same as it was said, to learn by examples. So to build sentence and try to use these phrasal verbs.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with all points that you mentioned. Okay. Any other tips, guys? Suffer. Yeah, that's the. Okay. All right, then let's discuss. Maybe something else comes to your mind if I don't mention something that you use, yeah, when you learn phrasal verbs. First tip is start learning the most common ones. Yeah, we tend to kind of want to learn everything. We know that there are lots of them and we want to know all of them at once, as many as possible. Not a good idea, yeah, because our brain just cannot cope with that. We cannot learn so much in one go. So start by learning common ones, the ones that are used more often, and build a foundation. So you build foundation understanding of these phrasal verbs, and then you can learn more and expand. There are lots of lists online. So if you're not sure where to start, if you're learning a course, if you're attending a course, the book will give you that kind of foundation and basis. If you're not sure, there are lots of lists online where you can Google like basic phrasal verbs, most common phrasal verbs, and you'll have different lists of those phrasal verbs. Next tip, don't group by verb. Yeah. It's not a rule, it's just a tip. If you group by verb, you might get confused because the verb looks the same and automatically you might think that the meaning is similar or close. But no, the meanings will be completely different, unconnected, and it might get more difficult to remember them. But online, you can find lots of also lists like phrasal verbs with come. Yeah. Personally, of course, if it helps you and you've noticed that this is easier for you to learn like that, go ahead, right? But it might be confusing and well, there's no system there, right? There is no logic and just might get more difficult. So better not to group by verbs. Yeah. You can group by particles. So choosing a particle and grouping, choosing a few phrasal verbs with that particle might be a better idea. Particles have tendencies, like one particle can have a bit similar meaning. Yeah. For example, particle up. So up sometimes means to completely finish something. And phrasal verbs, for example, finish up, which means to finish, wrap up also means to finish, drink up, yeah, finish your drink, and so on. So it doesn't mean that up has this meaning in all phrasal verbs, but in some groups, yeah, there can be a tendency. Another example is on. On can mean continuation, so continuing something. Keep on, carry on, go on, drag on. All of these phrasal verbs mean to continue. Yeah, drag on usually has an additional kind of negative meaning a little bit. So the lecture dragged on for 3 hours, but it still continued. Yeah, on has the meaning continue. So grouping by particle might be a better idea than by verb. Another grouping, so to say, tip is grouping by topic. So if you're learning, I don't know, clothes, yeah, select those phrasal verbs that are connected to clothes, yeah, and actions with them. It will make your learning more organized and it will be easier to remember because the phrasal verbs will be actually connected by one context. It will be different particles, different verbs, but similar context will help you remember them better. Yeah. Again, if it's in a course, in a book, that's already done for you. Yeah. They're already used in context in a topic. Context. Yeah. And you mentioned also that you make examples. Context is the most important thing. If you learn a phrasal verb outside of context, you don't know which meaning to choose and which meaning to learn at all. Yeah. And there are sometimes 8, 10, 15 meanings. You don't need all of them, maybe. So learn in context, choose an example, or better, make example about you, about your life, or about somebody you know. So it has to be your sentence, and if it's connected to your life, that's even better. That will create better association, better connection, yeah, to the meaning in your mind. So that will take time because you'll have to sit down and make sentences, but that will be more effective, much more effective than just taking them, you know, from the internet or from a dictionary. Grouping several phrasal verbs into one sentence also might help. I don't mean put five phrasal verbs into one sentence, just two. Yeah, but they can be, again, it's about context or about topic. Yeah, if you put them in one sentence, they're connected, you remember them better. Yeah, that's association, and you can understand them better and just remember. Flashcards. Yeah, we actually had a webinar. My colleague Tanya Dubograeva, she conducted, and she will do it, I believe, again next month. She conducted a webinar on how to learn vocabulary. Yeah, so that's exactly it. I mean, she has a whole webinar on that. This is just a small tip using flashcards. You can use different applications like Quizlet, Anki, or Memrise. I believe they're all free. There are some paid subscriptions. So Quizlet will have more limited functions if you're not subscribed, if you don't have paid subscription. But there are some functions that you can use for free anyway. As far as I know, Anki and Memrise, definitely they have like a schedule. They create a schedule for you in a way. So it's like spaced repetition thing where it will show you the word that you need to repeat today. Yeah, or the word you haven't seen for 3 days and you need to repeat it. So you won't need to, you know, create your cards and make a plan for yourself. You can use such applications, yeah, and use it every day, for example, for a few minutes, and learn phrasal verbs like that. There are many more, of course, so maybe you've used some already and you can share with us, yeah, if you have used some other applications or websites for learning words or vocabulary. Yeah, they're pretty useful. Of course, cutting paper and making your own flashcards, you know, the old school way works, but that takes much more time. Yeah. Last tip for me is Chat GPT. Very popular these days, and I didn't want to, but I started using it as well. So it's really useful to make exercises. Yeah, so you can give ChatGPT a list of words, phrasal verbs, or any other words for that matter that you want to learn, and ask it to generate exercises for you. So a gap fill exercise, for example, when you need to fill in the preposition or phrasal verb itself. What's important is with phrasal verbs, especially, give it a list with definitions. So because if you give ChatGPT just a list of phrasal verbs, it will generate any meanings for you. So if you give it take off, it will choose probably any meaning it wants and not the one you need. So give it phrasal verb with definition and ask it to give you an exercise to practice. Yeah, then it will be better, I would say. That's what I tried to do. Okay, Natalia wrote a comment. Okay, sorry, yeah. Yeah. You can also use ChatGPT not only for exercises, but to find out information, as I mentioned before. So you can ask it to explain the phrasal verb, to generate more examples for this phrasal verb and meaning, to explain if it's separable or inseparable, does it need an object, and so on. So all of these questions you could ask it, and it should give you correct answers. I've heard that ChatGPT makes mistakes sometimes. I haven't seen them yet in like such English questions. I haven't used it for a long time, so I cannot say for sure if there are lots of mistakes there. But well, in my experience with language, I haven't seen mistakes yet. But again, double check. You know, ask a clarification question, because sometimes it just gives you general information. If you need more specific, ask it again. Yeah. And that's it. Have you thought, guys, of any other tips that maybe I missed, but you want to share with everyone? Alexei, go ahead.
Yeah, it happens so often to me. If I encounter some phrasal verbs, I kind of guess a meaning and then just skip it without clarifying the real meaning. So don't skip it. If you heard something in a movie or in communication, then go and check what it actually means, and then you next time if you encounter the same, you will definitely know the meaning, and actually you will encounter it more and more when you actually know the verb. So that's kind of, sometimes you can just, you understand the overall meaning of sentence or some communication, and then you can just, okay, I don't need to know exactly what this particular phrasal verb means, so you just skip it. So don't do that.
Great. Yeah, if your goal is to learn them, of course, concentrate on them and yeah, make note. Yeah, thank you. Alexei? Go
I
ahead.
would add, it's not like a direct pillar, but listen as more as you can and read as more as you can. Native language, quick language, not formal. It helps in feeling, also in feeling of phrasal verbs.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would add not only like listening, watching more, reading more. Yeah, even some people consider like short videos or TikToks a waste of time, but if it helps you learn English better, why not? Yeah, if it's with sound, if it's not just picture with the I don't know, with music or something. Yeah. Natalia wrote, I see my will suggest using one phrasal verb during our daily meetings during several weeks. Yeah, that's a very good point. So you can challenge each other. Yeah, challenge your colleagues, challenge yourselves. If you want to learn some of them, right, choose it and make yourself use it. Yeah, in a meeting or in an email somewhere in communication. Yeah, that's a very good point.
I will come up with something.
That's you, Alexei. That's a message to you. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. Well, we're actually, that's the final point for us. If you want to share more tips, go ahead. If you have some questions, we can discuss them. Yeah. I mean, if I can answer, I'm not an encyclopedia, so if I cannot answer, I'll find out and send you an answer after the webinar. So that's an option also. So raise your hand. Let me know if you have a question. You can type it in the chat and we'll read it and answer it. Alexei, go ahead.
Contest, just to count how many phrasal verbs were used during this meeting.
Oh, okay. That can be homework. Watch it
Yeah.
again. Watch an hour and 20 minutes of the meeting and count. That's a good challenge. Yeah. That's a type of exercise you could do actually in your homework. I'm joking. Don't relax. No homework. Yeah. Okay. You can do this when you watch films or when you listen to something. So Alexei's idea here is a good one. Like set a goal to notice phrasal verbs, yeah, in that clip, in that video, in that meeting, sorry. And that's how you can notice them, yeah, pay attention to them, learn more. Why not? Those are also good strategies. The presentation, yes, somebody else already asked. You will get a presentation. You will also get that PDF document that I mentioned. Looking forward to PDF. That's a phrasal verb. Well done. Yeah, and feedback form. So we would really like to know your opinion, yeah, or how we can, if something needs changing or we can improve somehow. So minimum 3 things, yeah, presentation, PDF, and feedback form. Yeah, that's more for us, but please do it. Yeah. Okay. If guys, there are no questions, I'm staying here for now. You can disconnect, but if you have some questions you'd like to stay and discuss them, you're welcome. Yeah, we still have officially 17 minutes. We finished a bit earlier. Thank you very much for coming and being active. Yeah, I really enjoyed our webinar. Thank you so much.